CBell gets the biggest win of his career, and did he save Toyota in the process? Let's talk about it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing a good this Monday. All right, Christopher Bell gets the win in a race that was absolutely dominated by Martin Truex, at least 2/3 of it. It seemed like Martin Truex had the fastest car, but then for whatever reason, they decided to take two tires on one of the pit stops, made some strategy call, and the car was just never right after that. It didn't like the two tires. It didn't like being in traffic, however you want to look at it, maybe both. But it was not the same after that, and what looked like almost a surefire guaranteed win for Martin Truex ends up being just a top 5 for him. But Christopher Bell, let's talk about him. Christopher Bell gets the win. This is a track we know he's good at. He had the adversity last week of getting the members of Bubba Wallace's pit crew, and of course they lost a tire on pit road. But he rebounds this week at a track that he's really good at and gets the win, and I think he does two things with this win. He extends his career at Toyota, and he saves Toyota from the aforementioned pit crew swap. Now, I say he saves Toyota because it was looking like this was going to be another guy that Toyota was possibly going to get off of too quickly. Another young kid that they were going to rush through the program and then not give him enough time. But with this win, this makes back-to-back years that Christopher Bell is in the playoffs. So I think with that type of track record, because I think that is what let that's the reason they let Eric Jones go. He didn't get into the playoffs in consecutive years. Christopher Bell has now gotten into the playoffs in consecutive years. I think that will be enough to keep him on board at Joe Gibbs Racing. So I think he saves Toyota there for making another poor decision of getting off of a race car driver. Of course, this is my opinion. I just felt like they were going to get off of him if he didn't make the playoffs this year. And the other reason it saves Toyota is because that weird pit crew swap that they did with the 23 team could have taken the 20 car out of contention if he didn't get this win. So he saves that questionable pit crew swap with this win. Of course, the pit crew was on point today, so a lot of people are going to point to it and say, oh, look at that Toyota. They know what they're doing. They're doing great, right? But look at last week. Last week, it was not great. He lost a tire on pit road, and it can be argued that this pit crew shouldn't even have been at the racetrack because they should have been suspended. A lot of people are on that bus that, oh, they're showing favoritism to Joe Gibbs Racing because they didn't suspend that pit crew because, once again, NASCAR has taken a black and white rule, and they have muddled it and made it a gray area where they can make the call themselves. So there's a lot of people that are upset about that pit call, and should this pit crew have even been there. But either way, Christopher Bell wins the race, and because of that, he saves Toyota from itself with those two basically terrible calls that I think they were going to make. All right, now let's look at your top 10. Christopher Bell, of course, wins the race. Big race for him. Chase Elliott had a fast car, but was really hard on himself. Said he probably had a car that could have won the race. If Christopher Bell was in his car, he probably still would have won the race. He just used up his tires. Bubba Wallace, with a good run, finishes third. So both pit crews got the job done today. And all the Toyotas had speed, but Bubba Wallace had a good run there. Should not be surprising. A lot of people said it was the greatest drive of his career. Apparently, they missed Martinsville and Indianapolis in 2019. Martin Truex, fourth. Even though he finishes fourth, has to be a bad day for him. Yeah, he scored almost maximum points here, but he didn't get the win, and now he is the man on the cutoff line. Kevin Harvick finishes fifth. Good top 5 for him, but doesn't really help him because they need a win at this point because they are so far back in points. Denny Hamlin finishes sixth. Just another good solid day for him. Like I said, all the Toyotas had speed. Big day for Brad Keselowski. Like I said in my preview to the season, I think RFK would start turning it around midway through the season, and we're starting to see the results here midway through the season. But really good run for Brad Keselowski. I'm pretty sure he's doing R&D stuff for RFK at this point, so it looks like they might have hit on something here. Ross Chastain continues his great season. I think him, Chase, and Ryan Blaney have got to be your favorites for the title, although Blaney could get knocked out if he doesn't get a win. Daniel Suarez, he would be another underdog. If he hadn't had some trouble early on, mechanical problems and getting in some wrecks, I think Daniel Suarez would actually be up there with your contenders, but he's definitely a dark horse. And Kurt Busch, Kurt Busch gets a top 10. Of course, they had that weird strategy where they stayed out. Didn't work out for him, but he was the first people of those guys that stayed out to come in and get tires early to get full advantage of the new tires, and he rebounds for a top 10. So that was your good race, and now let's look at who had a bad race. Without a doubt, you got to say RCR had a bad race. It's been a bad week for them. They lose Tyler Reddick, and they just did not look super competitive today. Basically, everybody in RCR equipment or the RCR Alliance outran all of the RCR cars on speed, at least. And it was just a bad look for him because, of course, the Toyotas were really fast, so it makes Tyler Reddick, it makes his decision look really great. It was also a bad day for the Dillons, to stay on the RCR theme. Austin Dillon got into it with Brad Keselowski in some weird skirmish that is muddled at best. But it seems to be over the race where Brad Keselowski went down and turned him after the caution. It seemed just like a weird incident. It seems like Austin Dillon's still mad about that. And Ty Dillon, of course, is removed from his ride. I'll make a video on that later. I haven't gotten to it yet. I know I'm behind on that. But Ty Dillon lost his ride, and, well, 5 laps into the race, he is wrecked. All right, I mentioned the points, so let's take a look at the points. 14 winners on the season so far, so that only leaves 2 spots. And those 2 spots currently right now occupied by Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex, who is plus 68 over Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Eric Jones, and Austin Dillon. But if one more winner comes about, it's just going to get really interesting. And if 2 more winners come about, and neither one of those winners are Martin Truex and Ryan Blaney, it is going to get really interesting. So I think points are out the window at this point, because if you look at this cutoff line, any of these guys could win a race. And I think it's just going to be a mess. If Ryan Blaney doesn't get into the playoffs, man, that's going to be a bad day. I think they'll have to reassess how they do the playoffs if that happens. All right, that is all I've got for you today. Hopefully you like the content, and if you're not subscribed, I would really appreciate that subscription. It really helps out the channel so much, and like I said, I really do appreciate it. If you got a comment or question, leave it down in the comment section. I try to get to as many of those as I can, and other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.